morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for Fresno State Small Business University and Central Valley CalSOAP's presentation on this wonderful Saturday. My name is Brian Salcedo, and I am a project assistant with the Fresno State Small Business University, where we help people start businesses, or if they already have a business, we help people expand their business. Today's presentation will be a business license workshop where we will cover topics such as what a business license is and how to apply for one. I will be your producer for this presentation, and let me go ahead and start that presentation. And my host for today, who is also a project assistant, is Richie Savangliacom. Richie has been with us since December of last year and has many years of experience helping small businesses in our community. Richie, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Brian. As Brian said, my name is Richie Salongacom, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all on this Saturday. We are thrilled to have you all here with us, and we can't wait to share with you all on what business licenses are all about.
Thank you, Richie, and I just wanted to send a special thank you to Jorge Menjivar for helping us put this event together and helping us promote it and sending the invitation to everybody. So thank you, Jorge.
Absolutely, thank you, Jorge. And before we begin our presentation, we were wondering how much many of you in this room know about business. Maybe business is something you might have seen or heard about. Maybe is something you are studying, maybe watch a little thing or two on Shark Tank or other shows perhaps, or maybe one day you want to open up a business. And whatever the case may be, that's something that Small Business University can help you out with. And in the chat box, go ahead and type in what business means to you throughout this webinar. And at any moment during the webinar, feel free to give your feedback in the chat box. All right, so today's presentation is all about getting a business license and how to obtain one. And without further ado, we'll go into the topics. So today's topics are: what is a business license? Why do you need a business license? Who needs a business license? How do you know if you need a business license? The types of business licenses that are available, how to obtain a business license, how to keep your and how to close a business. Next slide. So what is a business license? A business license is a permit issued by the government that allows you to conduct business within the area that you live in or want to do business. So for example, if you want to open a bubble tea shop, coffee shop, tire shop, barber shop, clothing store, and so forth, there are some factors that you want to consider. Some of those factors include location, population, and competition. So say if you're opening a clothing business, so who are you competing against? So you would consider stores like maybe Target, Marshalls, Kohl's, Burlington, and from there it kind of determines like how well is the location, are you going to attract more customers and so forth. And also before you consider other things like a business location, you have to get your business license first. Next slide. So in the next slide, why do you need a business license? So there are three reasons. The first is liability. So if you own a business and somebody gets hurt at your business and you don't have a business license or insurance, then you can get in a lot of trouble. So let's say your employee mops the floor and forgets to clean up, and a customer slips and falls, then who would be held accountable for that? Now, if you have a business license, your business will be accountable for any accidents that may happen at the workplace. Thus, your business insurance can also cover you in case of an accident. So to reduce your liability, a business license is helpful. The second reason is administration and taxes. The government will use your license to see how much profit the business has made. And when tax season comes, they will provide you with your business income. And it also protects the government and your business from any confusion like fraud, for instance. And an example for that, if the government sees that you have a lot of money in your bank account, but you're not reporting your income, then they can take your money away, and thus you can get in trouble for that. You can also get a lot of tax breaks from the government if you report the money you make. And the third reason is accreditation. A business license can also mean you can be certified as an official business. Certifications can help your business grow because it helps build more trust with customers. And when you're certified, you will show up on sites like Google, Yelp, and even Facebook. And thus, the more recognition you have, the more growth your business receives. Next slide. So who needs a business license? Any business owner must obtain a general business license in the city where your business is located in. So some cities in California call a business license a tax certificate. Enterprises operating in unincorporated areas of the city must obtain a county level license or tax certificate. So say if you're doing business here in the city of Fresno, then you would need a business license to operate in Fresno. In some cases, I believe go to the next slide, sorry about that. In some cases, if you're doing business in an unincorporated city, then you would apply for license within the county that the city is located in. So for instance, if you want to run a business in Tranquility, then you would apply for a license in Fresno County. To find out if you live in an unincorporated area, you can search, you could do a search on Google and type in Fresno County unincorporated area. And by the way, an unincorporated area is an area that is not governed by the city itself. In these areas, the county governs the area. Next slide. So there are some checklists that you want to consider when opening or determining if you need a business license. So there are at least 7 reasons. So if you are involved in the retail or wholesale selling of merchandise, equipment, or other material items. The second reason, are you leasing equipment or other items to others? So say if you own a landscaping business, are you lending your lawnmower to someone else to use? Third reason, are you getting paid for providing personal, business, or other services, including consulting and lobbying services? Fourth reason, are you receiving rental revenue from commercial real estate property used by others to conduct business? Next slide. Okay, fifth reason, do you have a California state contractor's license? 6, are you an attorney, physician, certified public, accountant, insurance broker, dentist, architect, mortician, psychologist, psychiatrist, real estate agent, or engage in any other profession for which you have special certification or licensing issued by governmental or professional organizations? And last but not least, are you a broker dealing with the stock market? If you answered yes to any of these, then you definitely need a business license. Next slide. Yep, next slide. So there are a couple of business licenses that are available, and some of the types. Well, when you sign up for a business, you want to consider the various types of business licenses that you will need to obtain. The first is business license. So any business owner must obtain a general business license in the city for where your business is located in. In the case that you want to open a business that's in an unincorporated area of the city, so for instance, places like Tranquility, Selma, Fowler, or Sanger, and so forth, you will need to apply for a county level business license. The second business license is home occupation permit. If you plan to start business in your own home, so say if you're baking from home or starting a clothing business, some cities may need you to apply for a home occupation permit, and it can vary from city to city depending on where you live. The third reason is seller's permit. So with the seller's permit, you can buy goods from a manufacturer without paying sales tax. And the seller's permit will allow you to sell your product in the city that your business is in, as well as the state of California. And with this permit, you can sell or ship your products throughout the country. So say if you have a customer living in a different state, say in North Carolina, for instance, and they ordered one of your shirts, then you can send your products to that customer in North Carolina. Or even if they live in a different country, like maybe Australia, for instance, that also is an option. The fourth reason is federal licenses. So depending on the state, depending on the type of business you're in, you may need a special federal license. And as you can see in the next slide, if you're involved in any of these industries like agriculture, alcohol, aviation, firearms, cargo shipping, drilling, natural resources like oil in this case, radio or television, which doesn't include podcasts, or even oversized vehicles, you will need to get some special permission from the federal government to obtain a federal license. And there are many types of business permits at the city level. So for instance, if you plan on opening a barbershop somewhere in town, in this case, Fresno, you would need to have a few things: a barber's license, a sign permit if you plan on having a huge sign outside. So, and by huge sign, well, it depends on how big you want it. And a zone clearance permit, which lets the city know that you plan on doing business within the area. Next slide. All right, next slide. So how to open a business license? There are two options. You can do it by mail or online. There are some cities that offer online services for business license. Thus, it's an easier way and one of the safe alternatives to do so. So as you can see somewhere on the screen in the next slide, I believe. So say if you're opening business, let's say you live in Kerman and you want to open a business. You can print out and mail it in an application. Oh, there we go. Yes, so here is the city of Kerman's business license that you can find on their website. And pretty much and like I stated, there's two options. You can fill it in by mail or by phone. So if you're doing it, or excuse me, online. So if you're doing it online, you can fill in the information online in the following boxes. Or if you would like to mail in your application, I believe each city has a link where you can download the application, print that out, and submit it by mail for you to do that. Another option, if you're living in the city of Fresno, the city of Fresno also has the same thing. You can find an application online and fill in the correct boxes, or mail out the application by simply clicking on a link and downloading that, filling it out, and mailing it in. And also, in case anybody didn't know, you can also sign up for services with us, and we can provide the proper steps and links on how to do so. And later in this presentation, I believe Brian will put in a link with all of our services. So if you're interested in opening up a business, whether you live in Fresno or any other city, please feel free to contact us, and we'll be glad to help out with the process. All right, next slide. So how to keep your business licenses up to date? So there are 4 reasons. So the first is you want to set a calendar reminder to renew your license within 30 to 60 days ahead. Second reason, make sure you have the necessary paperwork to file any renewals. If you don't have any paperwork, you do want to make sure you contact your local and state authorities' offices to request the necessary information so you can make timely renewal submissions. And also, it's advised that you do want to check up after 2 weeks. You make the initial contact, just so that way you want to follow up on progress to see, just so that way there's no what's the word I'm looking for? There's nothing holding you guys up. So the third reason, when getting business licenses and business registrations for the first time, research your county, city, and state regulations to determine what permits and licenses you will need. The licenses you will need can be different based on the state you live in. There will be different license fees depending on the areas that you live in. So keep in mind that they do vary. So even if you're moving around from place to place, they can vary. And the last reason is you want to keep track of payments in your bookkeeping. So do make sure you save any receipts that you may have for personal references, because some government agencies will take a look at that for records. Alrighty, next slide. So how to close a business. So say that, your business has failed after a year or two of opening, or you decide to transfer ownership. There are 6 steps that you want to follow. And the first is to decide to close. If you're a sole proprietor, in other words, you're a single business owner, you can decide when to close on your own terms. But if you're working with partners, say if you're working with another person or 3 people or more, it would require you and your partners to agree to terms. So you guys would have to make the agreements on when it is that you decide to close your business. And so that's something that everybody has to agree with. Now, if you make the decision on behalf of your partners, then I feel like, or actually, it would kind of create like an unfair advantage. So there would be some miscommunications there. The second reason is to file dissolution documents. So a dissolution document is an agreement to close your business, which is opposite from opening a license. Failure to legally dissolve an LLC or corporation with any state you're registered in will expose you to continued taxes and filing requirements. So if you don't file those, you could probably be held liable for additional taxes and other costs that are associated. And it's also worse when you're closing your business because you're dealing with a lot of unnecessary money that you don't want, like, oh, I have to pay this in my bank account when I've already closed my business, or I'm in the process of doing that. The third reason is cancel registrants, permits, licenses, and business names. So this protects your finances and reputation by canceling any of those things that you no longer need, including your trade name. You also have to contact your own city finance department on how to close the business license. So similar to the second point. The fourth reason is to comply with employment and labor laws. So if you need to know the labor laws, you can look up the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, which is also known as WARN. And I'll say again, that's the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. So, or the WARN Act for the employee payment after closing, along with any federal and state laws. And also, you do need to pay any employees their last checks and notify them that you will be closing within 60 days. If you are closing your business and you have employees, you do need to let them know ahead of time, about maybe 2 months ahead or 3 months ahead, so that way they can seek employment. So without telling your employees, hey, we're closing up business and you guys are fired or something, then that kind of puts a lot of pressure on the employees, because now they have to find jobs. So, and by telling them in advance, it allows them to not only plan accordingly, but also allow them to do things like prepare for unemployment and so forth if they need to. Or in conjunction with that, if you're changing business names, say like you're selling your business to another person, like you own a restaurant and the person or the new owner wants to change the names, but they want to keep your employees, then you would have to notify your employees. So if you're changing the ownership of your business and still keeping the employees, then still notify them of the changes. And basically from there, the new owners will take care of the old owners' responsibilities and duties. The fifth reason is resolve any financial obligations. So handle final returns for your income tax and sales tax, cancel your employer identification number, and also notify federal and state tax agencies and follow the IRS checklists. And the last reason is to maintain records. You may be legally required to maintain tax and employment records, among other files. Common guidelines advise keeping records for anywhere from 3 to 7 years. So why it's important to keep your records from 3 to 7 years after closing your business is that way, maybe if you're doing your taxes and the IRS notices like, hey, you're still in business, and you want proof to them like, no, I'm not in business, I've closed it, I've transferred it, and so forth. It's proof to them that basically you're not liable for any of the charges even after you close your businesses, and just that way you're not owing any money to them. Alrighty, and this concludes the presentation, and I believe Brian will provide a link to the video for you guys to view. Yeah, there was a link to the video in the previous slide, which I believe Brian will include in chat box. So that's something that you guys can view on your own time. And that video will basically be a full explanation on closing a business and why it's important to do so. Alrighty, we're going to open the room for you guys with any questions and answers that you might have for me and Brian about opening a business license. Please feel free to type in your questions into the chat box, or holler at us if you'd like.